The Yankees win their opening series against the San Francisco Giants, and they throw two shutouts. So games 1 and 3, shutouts for the Yankees. They win 5-0 and 6-0. Unfortunately, the middle game, they lose 7-5, and that was a tough loss. And we'll get into that one in a little more detail as far as the play-by-play and how that one went. But look, they win a series. Would I have liked to sweep San Francisco? Yeah, I would have, but you're not going to complain with winning a series. Look, especially the opening series, they can be a bit unpredictable. And, obviously, Gerrit Cole was just brilliant, going 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, shutout ball. Then Jhony Brito, in his major league debut, goes 5 innings of shutout ball, only allowing 2 hits, gets 6 strikeouts. So those, to me, are the main things. But there's a lot of storylines, of course. Anthony Volpe making his debut and getting a steal in each game. Got a couple of hits in the series. Wasn't anything overly spectacular, but it's exciting for Yankee fans, of course. This is, really one of the more highly touted prospects the Yankees have seen in some time. And he does look the part. I mean, I do feel good about him, but look, he's batting 9th for now. I hope that changes at some point. But look, it's not as if he was incredible this weekend, but he didn't need to be. And you can just see how much of a threat he is on the bases. Like, he will definitely annoy pitchers, if nothing else. I mean, forgetting about the steals, he will just rattle the opposing pitcher. Obviously, the game is a little bit different. The one thing I really wish was different was the umps. I mean, the umps, I've said this for the last few years, it has gotten so bad. I can't wait for the day that hopefully there are robot umps. And I'm not saying that fixes everything, but this is just awful for both teams, right? And it really sucks when it hurts your team, but it's both teams. There's plenty of times when I say, wow, we got lucky there. But and usually it favors the pitcher. That's what I've seen recently. So that's a change I wish they made. There's a lot of other changes they did make. Games are about a half hour quicker now, honestly. Maybe a little bit less than that. It feels like they're 20 to 30 minutes quicker, which is good. The pace of the game is faster. The bases are bigger. They banned the shift, which, I didn't think they would do that, but they did. And I'm sure that teams will still find a way around it. That's just how it goes. I'm sure over time, the smart teams will work around it. But look, San Francisco is not a very good team, especially offensively. It's not all that good. And, the Yankees hit some home runs. It's amazing that Aaron Judge, in the first at-bat of the season, homers, coming off of last year, re-signing, being named the captain against San Francisco, a team that, was heavily involved in the pursuit of Judge. First at-bat, first homer of the year. He would also homer in game 3 of the series. You had a couple of home runs by Giancarlo Stanton in this series, one of them being 485 feet, an absolute mammoth bomb by Stanton. And so it was mostly good. I thought Ron Marinaccio was excellent in games 1 and 3, and he should be someone that is really heavily relied upon in this bullpen. And, on the flip side, some not so good things. Clark Schmidt struggled a bit. The first 3 innings were good, mostly. Second inning was a struggle, and the 4th inning just really ran out of gas. And so for Schmidt, a disappointing outing. Michael King made his first outing since his injury last season and started out poorly. May have deserved a better fate. There was some, shaky, spotty defense behind him and some unluckiness, but still King wants to work it out. And Clay Holmes, who, was not good at the end of last season. Now, in the playoffs, he kind of rounded back into form somewhat so, but Clay Holmes struggled in his game. And so, that concerns me for sure. I don't think that Clay Holmes should just be seen as the definite closer. I think that's got to be a committee situation for sure. And so let's talk about it. Let's go into each game. And, again, this roster does look pretty similar to last season, especially when you consider the fact that Carlos Rodon starts the season on the IL, and that was really their biggest new incoming player. Tommy Kahnle as well. Kahnle, formerly a Yankee, coming back. Kahnle, I don't know when he comes back. Rodon, it sounds a little bit more promising. I'm thinking maybe early May. I guess it could be late April, but I wouldn't rush it with him. It's too big of an investment. But Kahnle, I don't know. And a lot of the trade acquisitions that they got last year are hurt. Think about it. Scott Efros, which we knew at the end of last season, done for the year. Frankie Montas, he had shoulder surgery. He might be out for the whole season. Maybe he'll come back at the very end. And Lou Trevino, who they also acquired in that Oakland trade, he will be out for some time, maybe back in May. So a lot of the new guys, and again, that trade deadline last season really looks like it was pretty rough for Brian Cashman. They're hurt. And really, Anthony Volpe is the big new piece, if you will, offensively. Otherwise, it's basically the same sort of team, but now Connor Falefa is more of a bench player. Aaron Hicks is more of a bench player, which was already kind of becoming a thing. So the opening lineup sees LeMahieu leading off, playing second base. Gleyber would DH in the first game. Gleyber would play second base in games 2 and 3, and then Gleyber would also lead off in the third game with DJ out of the lineup there. So as Waldo was the left fielder for each game, Donaldson played third base in all 3 games and batted fifth in each one, and Donaldson's fortunate to have that be his role right now. He is. I don't think he deserves it. He did homer in the second game. There was, it wasn't all bad for Donaldson, but didn't think he was great, but he did homer. And then Trevino played the first couple of games. Of course, Volpe batted ninth in this opening series. So Logan Webb versus Gerrit Cole. And Logan Webb, and look, the Yankees struck out a ton as well, in this series. Logan Webb had, 12 strikeouts in 6 innings. So he actually had more strikeouts than Gerrit Cole. But Cole actually has a 4-pitch walk to start out versus Lamont Wade and then just totally cruised. Struck out the side in the first. Like I said, Judge homers in the bottom of the first. Which is just amazing that he did that. It felt special. And in the third, Volpe walks in his first at bat and then still second. So a nice way to start his career. And the fans are really into him. This was a day where Gleyber Torres did well. Gleyber Torres, when he's thinking opposite field, he's so much better. And for Gleyber, there's a lot of trade rumors surrounding him. So it's good to see him off to a solid start. And I think him playing second base, obviously he played second last year. It's so much better than him at short. He's a much better second baseman. So Gleyber with a 2-run homer to the opposite field after a Donaldson single gives the Yanks a 3-0 lead. Cole continues to just mow through the San Francisco lineup. And he goes through 6 innings. Like I said, 3 hits, 11 strikeouts. Just great stuff from him. Really, really awesome. In the 7th, Wandy Peralta comes on. And Wandy struggled a little bit. There was a 1-out single to former Yankee Tyro Estrada. He also balked, but it wasn't, not terrible. A couple of strikeouts in there as well. Jonathan Loaisiga comes in and finishes out the 7th inning. In the bottom of the 7th, the Yankees score again. Gleyber with the leadoff walk, and that would be all for Logan Webb. He would actually still second. Trevino singles to move Gleyber over to third after a Volpe strikeout. So you wanted to get Volpe to get that run in with a runner on third, less than 2 outs. He doesn't do it. But DJ LeMahieu, who didn't really look great in the first 2 games of this series, but he does come through here with an RBI single with 2 outs. That was good to see. And then Aaron Judge, he gets an RBI single as well. So that makes it 5-0. Then Ron Marinaccio comes on, pitches a 1-2-3/8. And in the 9th, there was a walk there, but he also really pitches a really nice 9th inning. So Marinaccio ends the game for the Yanks with a couple of innings, gets 3 strikeouts, doesn't allow a hit. Again, Ron Marinaccio looking really good, and he was a big missing link to that postseason roster last year. So the Yankees win at 5-0, and really just a feel-good opening day. There's really nothing to complain about from that first game. Game 2 was maybe heartbreaker is a bit strong, but it hurt. But it definitely hurt. That was the game the Yankees could have won. There was it felt a little, even though the Yankees didn't have any errors, it just felt like there was a sloppiness to it on all angles. And the Yankees, there was some failures getting runs home with less than 2 outs. Let's discuss it. The lineup was exactly the same as the first game. The only difference was that DJ is the DH in this one, and Gleyber plays second, which was the opposite from opening day. So Clarke Schmidt's on the mound, and Clarke Schmidt threw a lot of pitches, but was able to navigate through. There's a leadoff walk to Lamont Wade as Cole did in the first game. But, Schmidt throws a scoreless first. Bottom of the first, Yankees get a little lucky as it is first and second, 1 out. And Stanton hits a ground ball to the pitcher, Alex Cobb. Should have been an easy double play. Cobb airmails it, throws it into the outfield. And so with that, the Yankees take a 1-0 lead. So caught a break there. But with first and third, one out, Josh Donaldson strikes out looking. Now, to be fair to Donaldson, that was not a strike. Not a strike at all. This was Andy Fletcher. After Laz Diaz was awful in the first game, Andy Fletcher was actually worse somehow in game 2. Donaldson strikes out looking, and then Gleyber strikes out looking. So, yeah, it could have been more there. But again, the Yankees did kind of catch a break. Then Schmidt throws a lot of pitches in that second inning, but is able to get out of it and strikes out the side as well. In the bottom of the second, get Anthony Volpe's first career hit through short and third, and then he's still second. Although unfortunately, then DJ LeMahieu strikes out, and there was a couple of questionable pitches to DJ in his first couple of bats as well. We go to the third, and Clark seems to settle down. Although a really nice catch by Aaron Judge on Thairo Estrada in the third, and Judge was playing center field in the first 2 games. In the bottom of the third, Giancarlo Stanton hits his first homer of the year. Opposite field, right field, a Yankee Stadium homer, but a line drive. Kind of a vintage Stanton shot, and the Yankees take a 2-0 lead with that. But then they give Schmidt a 2-0 lead, and he gives it all back, and some. So Jock Peterson homers to start it out. Then it's a Yastrzemski double after a fly out to deep center. Brandon Crawford on a 3-0 pitch, just green light, and he just hits a bomb off of Clark Schmidt. It's 3-2, and that's all for Clark. And so that's disappointing for Clark Schmidt. Look, a good first 3 innings. The strikeouts were there, but yeah, he just didn't seem quite comfortable to me. And so we'll see what he does next outing, likely at Baltimore. Then Wandy comes in early. Think about it. Wandy comes in the 4th inning. The Yankees brought in some of their high leverage pitchers early on. Wandy is able to get through the inning. And then the Yankees go 1-2-3. Sorry, not 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 4th. As Waldo does get a single there. And then Jacob Junis comes on to replace Cobb in the 4th. And Anthony Volpe strikes out to end the inning. Then Wandy Peralta strikes out Michael Conforto. So Wandy, I thought after a rough spring, I wasn't concerned about it. Wandy, pretty good outings to start the season here. And then Michael King comes on. And Michael King does finish off this 5th inning. Then at the bottom of the 5th, LeMahieu with a double. I believe it was Yastrzemski that lost it in the sun completely. The center fielder lost it in the sun, so LeMahieu catches a break. Then Judge singles first and third, and then Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo is just so clutch in these spots. First and third, no out. He doubles, ties the game up, but it's 3-3, second and third, no out, and they wouldn't score again that inning, and that really hurt. Stanton grounds out to third. That was a key at bat. Stanton has to get that run, and he doesn't. Then Donaldson strikes out looking. And then, Gleyber Torres grounds out. So, maybe that was the at-bat where one of the at-bats Donaldson got kind of screwed. One of them he didn't. Actually, it might have been the first one where Donaldson was lucky for the bat to have continued. But either way, that's a bad job right there. And so the game stays 3-3. And then Michael King gets into a little bit of trouble. VR single, Crawford double. Blake Sable hit by pitch, and King was ahead in the count. You can't do that. And then King is looking to get out of it. He strikes out Roberto Perez. So the beginning was bad for King, and then it becomes a bit unlucky. Lamont Wade gets a single to Trevino. Trevino's got to stay back. It's bases loaded. There's a force at home. If Trevino just stays back and lets Michael King go for it, it probably would have been a close play, but I think they could have gotten the out. That's a bad play by Jose Trevino. So everyone's safe. It's 4-3. Then Conforto strikes out looking. So it's like, all right, what could have been really bad maybe stays down 1. But then Thairo Estrada gets a single. That's a play where Anthony Volpe wants to make that play. He kind of slipped. Wasn't in great position. The ball kind of knuckled on him. And it drops out of his glove. That's one that he wants to have back. It's ruled a hit. But, so again, King... a little bit of both there for him, where he kind of deserved it, but didn't at the same time. And so it's 5-3. And then the Yankees go down 1-2-3 in the 6th. And it's not looking good. But Albert Abreu comes on. And look, Albert Abreu, who's kind of like on the edge of that Yankee roster, pitched well. Pitched really well. Pitched a really good 7th inning and the 8th as well. After the Yankees are kind of shutting down a little bit offensively at this point. Albert Abreu with a couple of scoreless innings. We head to the bottom of the 8th, where lefty Taylor Rogers comes on, and with 1 out, Josh Donaldson hits a high-towering homer to left. So Donaldson's first homer of the season cuts the lead to 5-4. And we go to the 9th, and Clay Holmes comes on down 1. And that's big. Keep it at 1, and he doesn't do it. Clay Holmes, who Like I said, I'm not really feeling great about Clay Holmes. It's a 1-out single by Jock Peterson, and then it's an RBI double by Mike Yastrzemski to make it 6-4. Then it's a ground out. All right, so maybe it's 6-4. No, it's worse than that. Brandon Crawford, opposite field single, makes it 7-4. So Clay Holmes does a bad job, doesn't even finish the inning. Jimmy Cordero comes on, makes his Yankees debut, and finishes the inning. We go to the ninth. It starts to rain. The storms are coming, and Duvall is on, the closer. And Aaron Hicks pinch hits for Jose Trevino. We did not see Aaron Hicks other than this. And I don't mind it. I'm not a big Aaron Hicks fan. I want Oswaldo Cabrera to do well. He had an okay series. It really wasn't great. Hicks is going to get his playing time. And I think there was a quote today where Hicks is kind of like a little bit pissing and moaning, like, oh, I don't want to come in there and only face closers. Like, you're lucky you're even on this team, as far as I'm concerned. You're lucky you're even on this team. But Aaron Hicks did get kind of screwed here, where Aaron Hicks should have walked. And it was ball 4, absolutely, and Andy Fletcher calls it a strike, and Hicks eventually strikes out. That would prove very costly. Anthony Volpe single, so that's 2 hits for Volpe. Then LeMahieu walks, then Judge gets an RBI single, knocks Volpe in. Then a nice at-bat by Rizzo to work a walk, and so it sets the stage. Bases loaded, 1 out, 7-5 game, 2-0 count on Giancarlo Stanton. And he swings, which is okay. Duvall was really totally losing it, but Stanton hits a 6-4-3 double play from Crawford to Estrada to Wade. And it was controversial. It was reviewed at second and first. It looked like Estrada was kind of off the bag. Wade might not have been in the bag at first, but both calls stand. And the ball game is over. The Yankees lose at 7-5. That one hurt. There was a lot going on in that game, and it felt like that was the game that they could have easily cruised. But again, those runners on third, less than 2-out situations really hurt them. And, look, Clark Schmidt, Michael King, and Clay Holmes, pitchers that really you think about last year, the first half of last year especially, were 3 real bright spots. All of them. I mean, look, Schmidt was a mostly positive last year as far as I was concerned, even though he was in AAA at times too. But, yeah, they weren't that great in this game, the 3 of them, and the Yankees lose it. So now let's head to the final game of this series, Game 3. And in Game 3... the Yanks, played well. It was kind of a somewhat similar script to Game 1, except more homers for the Yankees in this one. And Jhony Brito makes his debut and leads the Yankees to a shutout. So like I said, that's 2 shutouts for the Yankees. It's the first time in franchise history that they got 2 shutouts in the first 3 games of the season. And Jhony Brito, who has been in the Yankee system for a bit, and I don't really view Brito as completely like a highly touted guy. I think it's someone that Yankee fans have been somewhat excited about. But I liked his composure on the man. I like that he's got good control. And Brito isn't exactly like young making his major league debut. I believe he's 25, which isn't old by any means, but it's not as if this is like a Davy Garcia situation from a few years ago. It's more like Clark Schmidt, although Schmidt was definitely more highly known of as being a high draft pick. But Brito goes 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. And yeah, I really like Brito. And I'm excited for what he might do. With this outing, he definitely stays in the rotation. He would have probably anyway, with Severino and Rodon really not close to coming back right now. It was a shaky first inning for him, and that's going to happen making your major league debut. He threw a lot of pitches, and it was key that he got through 5 innings because this Yankee bullpen was kind of taxed. They were used a lot the day before. They were somewhat used a lot. I mean, I guess forget about that first game. It was really the day before. A lot, Schmidt only goes 3 1/3 innings. So Brito here, it was key that he went through 5, and he's not even all the way built up yet. So total praise to him. That changeup is really, really filthy. And look, the fastball is pretty good too. So I'm curious to see what happens here with Jhony Brito. It'd be great if somehow he becomes sort of this, unexpected gem. But a great start. A great start for him. And, the Yankees hit some home runs as well. In this game, you saw Isaiah Kiner-Falefa play center field. He starts in center. It's kind of interesting where Aaron Hicks stays in the bench, and I would expect Hicks to be back in there versus the Phillies coming up here. But Kiner-Falefa in center and looked fine out there. I didn't do anything at the plate, but looked totally fine in center. I have no problem if you want to continue to do that. And, Gleyber Torres leads off in this game. They could have went with Volpe. They didn't. But other than that, Stanton at DH in this game, Judge moves over to right. So, and then Higashioka, who homered, in for Trevino. So let's talk about this one. First inning, like I said, a little bit, Brito throwing a lot of pitches, but pitches a scoreless first. That's what you want. Gets through it. And then in the first inning, you end up getting a bases loaded 2-out spot for Oswaldo Cabrera, and he strikes out. So Oswaldo, who had a few hits in this series and, defensively was fine, but you still, after a really good spring, Oswaldo was really good in the spring. I think they're going to give him some chance, but I think Cabrera needs to play well to really ensure that he stays in the lineup. So in the second, Brito's starting to look better, gets a couple of strikeouts. We go to the third, strikes out the side. So at that point, he's got 5 strikeouts through 3 innings. And then in the third, Aaron Judge gets the Yankees going as he did in the first game. It's a second homer of the season, gives the Yankees a 1-0 lead. And then after a Rizzo single, Giancarlo Stanton hits a 480-foot bomb to center field. It was one of those memorable homers, and you get spoiled with Judge and Stanton. And we've seen Judge go there before. We've seen, it was really back in 2017. It was against, I believe, the Orioles, an summer afternoon game against the Orioles. And I guess he actually maybe hit another one comparable to that later in the season. It must have been maybe against the Blue Jays late in 17, but Stanton, it was his longest Yankee home run. And that says a lot. Giancarlo can really, hit him out far. But this one was something impressive off of Ross Stripling. Yeah, so Stanton's second homer of the season makes it 3-0 Yanks. Brito gets it done in the fourth with a scoreless inning. And then Kyle Higashioka homers. So Higgy last year was amazing in spring and then didn't hit his first home run for a long time. Now here at his first game for him, homers. And so I think the Trevino-Higashioka duo, it may be a little bit more of a 50-50 split. Let's not forget that while I thought Trevino was leaps and bounds better than Higgy for a long time last season, when it ended, that gap was kind of closed a bit, and Higgy was, catching for Severino in the postseason, and Trevino was playing a little bit over his head, and Higgy probably the other way, where Higgy was really bad. I'd expect it to maybe 60-40 Trevino, which maybe that's not an unexpected statement, but all I'm saying is that, look, Higgy, who I'm not always the biggest fan of him, and I do think Trevino is just a little bit more of a more sound defensive catcher. Not to say that Higgy's a slouch by any means defensively, but I am curious to see how that goes, that platoon. But Higgy, it's the third homer of the day for the Yanks. It gives them a 4-0 lead. And in the fifth, I thought Brito wasn't going to make it through 5, but he does, and he allows himself to be in line for the win, which he would get in his first major league start. So we go to the bottom of the fifth. Yankees don't score. And Stripling was still in at this point, I believe. Yeah, Stripling went 5 innings. They go to the sixth, and this is where things get a little bit interesting. Jimmy Cordero comes in again, his second game. And Jimmy Cordero is someone who was in Scranton last season. He previously was with the Chicago White Sox. And there was an infield single. There's a hit by pitch. He does get a strikeout. He gets a couple of strikeouts. So for Cordero, the stuff is there. He can throw 100. He can throw, the stuff is definitely there for him. But the control doesn't seem to be quite there right now. And so Ron Marinaccio comes on in a second and third 2-out spot, and Jock Peterson flies out to right. That was that could have been something there, but Marinaccio comes in and ends the inning. Stripling's out of the game at this point. In the seventh, Marinaccio strikes out the side. He really has been a very, very nice find for this organization, debuting and making it out of camp last season. In the bottom of the seventh, it's the Anthony Volpe show where he gets leadoff walk. He goes to second on a wild pitch, and then he steals third after it was a double steal where Glaber steals behind Volpe. And with second and third one out, it sets up a sac fly for Anthony Rizzo, makes it 5-0. And then eventually you get a wild pitch as well. So he threw the pitcher off Volpe completely. And so there was three wild pitches that inning. Yankees take a 6-0 lead. Colton Brewer comes on for the Yankees. Colton Brewer had been in the Yankee organization years ago. He was with AAA Kansas City last year. Was not in the majors. Was really good in spring for the Rays in this spring. And I think his last MLB action might have been with the Red Sox. So Colton Brewer's kind of bounced around. I think he was with the Yankee organization maybe back in 2017, somewhere around there. And Brewer ends up finishing this game out. He actually, a couple of scoreless innings for Colton Brewer. And looked pretty good, actually. So I wonder what he could bring to the table. And the Yankees win 6-0. So again, for me, the big headlines, mainly Gerrit Cole and Jhony Brito. leading the Yanks to a couple of shutouts, and now they will take on the Philadelphia Phillies. And Philly, as I'm recording this, they lost the first 2 games of their series to Texas. Pretty ugly, and the pitching was pretty ugly too there with a combination of Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. So I guess it lines up where the Yanks will see Nola, and that is true. So the pitching matchups as of now, it's going to be Taijuan Walker making his Phillies debut against Nestor Cortes. So I'm excited to see Cortes start for the Yanks. Then game 2 looks like it'll be lefty Matt Strahm, who he'll also be making his. No, I guess it's interesting. Matt Strahm actually came in relief, it looks like, but he'll be making his first start as a Philly. And so maybe that'll be a bullpen. I don't know enough about that situation, but Strahm versus Herman. And then the last game will be an afternoon affair between Aaron Nola and Gerrit Cole. So name-wise, pretty big names for that one. But Nola coming off a really rough start at Texas. So we'll see. It's a Philly team that obviously reached the World Series last year. A really imposing lineup, although Rhys Hoskins is out for the season. Bryce Harper isn't there yet, so they're not quite whole. But that'll be a much tougher test for the pitching staff. And so it'll be Nestor, Herman, and Cole. And hopefully the Yankees can win another series at home as they will continue their first homestand of the season. But again, Yankees win the series versus the San Francisco Giants, and they get 2 shutouts in their first 3 games of the season, and that's the first time that they've done it in franchise history.